Welcome to the backyard, guys. Today we are going over the long lunge hold. In my opinion, this is the best hip flexor stretch out there. It is super scalable, so if you're a beginner, there's a great version for you. And if you're much more advanced and you're working on like your front split, there's a great version for you as well. So we're going to start with an easier progression and work our way to some harder stuff. So in this first version, we need something for a little bit of support. I'm going to use a broom handle to hang on to for some extra balance. If you're at your house, just touching a wall is fine. Touching like right here is fine. If you're in a gym, using a squat rack, that's great too. So we've got our extra supports. I also need a yoga block. And now we're going to get set up in the long lunge. So a nice long stance like this. I'm going to drop my back knee almost to the floor. I'm going to make sure my hips are squared up. So both my pelvis bones are pointed straight ahead in front of me. And I'm going to go ahead and put a stretch on this hip flexor. And then I'm going to take my yoga block and put it just above the knee. So it's just barely touching the thigh. And the biggest thing with this stretch is we're never resting on the block. That's just a guide to keep us low. Once we're in position and we're starting the hold, we're then going to try to actively straighten the knee during the entire hold. So if you're holding for 30 seconds, that entire 30 seconds, you're trying to actively straighten this knee. And the best way to do that is think about pushing the heel down and also tensing the glute here. The next variation would be getting rid of the support and just doing it freestanding. There's a little bit more muscle stability needed to do this, so make sure you're comfortable with that with this version before advancing here. If at some point during your practice you're able to get the knee totally straight, all you do is simply lower the block. That's going to put a greater stretch on the hip flexor, and you work from that lower position. I love the yoga block because you've got 3 sides right off the bat to work from. So once you can get it from there, lower the block, lower the block. If you're at home, you don't have blocks, books stacked work fabulously. So once you're pretty good at that 90 degrees, and let's say you've got the block that low, let's widen the stance up. So front knee is going to extend past 90 degrees. We'll make sure our hips are squared. We'll get the back knee just off the ground, and we'll start here. And let's see what 30 seconds looks like. So to get the most out of this, you've got to work hard the entire 30 seconds. The whole time I'm trying to pull that knee straight. Butt's really tight here. I'm driving my heel down super hard. Barely touching that block. Just the hairs of my leg are touching it. That's 20 seconds. This is already a crazy stretch. 2. And 30 seconds. So I don't know if on the video you could tell I'm shaking. I'm really working hard. And that's the level of effort you need to put into it regardless of what progression you're doing. You have to actively be working really hard to make change. The hip flexor is such a gnarly muscle that it really needs that sort of a stimulus to make a big change. So to recap, start with a little bit of support, lose the support. Once you've gotten the block pretty low, start extending that stance out. So once you've determined what variation of this drill is ideal for you, try to work it in twice a week for 4 to 5 sets at 30 seconds each set. So twice a week, you're doing 4 to 5 sets each side for 30 seconds. Over time, try to add 5, 10, 15 seconds to those holds and also advance the version you're doing as you're able to. As I said earlier, the hip flexor is such a gnarly muscle to stretch. You've really got to put in that crazy effort to really make change. So if you like this video, please leave me a comment for another video of another drill or anything else you'd like me to go over.